Second Kings 6:24. War against Aram. Famine. After this, Ben-Hadad, king of Aram, mustered his whole army and laid siege to Samaria. Because of the siege, the famine in Samaria was so severe that a donkey's head sold for 80 pieces of silver, and a fourth of a cab of dove droppings for 5 pieces of silver. One day, as the king of Israel was walking on the city wall, a woman cried out to him, "Save us, my lord, king." He replied, "If the Father does not save you, where could I find means to save you? On the threshing floor and the wine press?" Then the king asked her, "What is your trouble?" She replied, "This woman said to me, 'Give up your son that we may eat him today, then tomorrow we will eat my son.' So we boiled my son and ate him. The next day I said to her, 'Now give up your son that we may eat him.' But she hid her son." When the king heard the woman's words, he tore his garments. And as he was walking on the wall, the people saw that he was wearing sackcloth underneath, next to his skin. The king exclaimed, "May God do thus to me and more, if the head of Elisha, son of Shaphat, stays on him today." Meanwhile, Elisha was sitting in his house in conference with the elders. The king had sent one of his courtiers, but before the messenger reached him, Elisha said to the elders, "Do you know that this murderer is sending someone to cut off my head? When the messenger comes, see that you close the door and hold it fast against him. His master's footsteps are echoing behind him." While Elisha was still speaking, the messenger came down to him and said, "This evil from the Father. Why should I trust in the Father any longer?" Chapter 7. Elisha replied, "Hear the word of the Father. Thus says the Father Most High, who I am, one and only true living creator of all creatures. At this time tomorrow, a seah of fine flour will sell for a shekel, and 2 seahs of barley for a shekel, in the market of Samaria." But the adjutant upon whose arm the king leaned answered the man of the Father, "Even if the Father were to make windows in heaven, how could this happen?" Elisha said, "You shall see it with your own eyes, but you shall not eat of it." At the city gate, 4 lepers were asking one another, "Why should we sit here until we die? If we decide to go into the city, we shall die there, for there is famine in the city. If we remain here, we shall die too. So come, let us desert to the camp of the Arameans. If they let us live, we live. If they kill us, we die." At twilight they left for the Arameans, but when they reached the edge of the camp, no one was there. The Father had caused the army of the Arameans to hear the sound of the chariots and horses, the sound of a large army, and they had reasoned among themselves, "The king of Israel has hired the kings of the Hittites and the kings of Egypt to fight us." Then in the twilight they had fled, abandoning their tents, their horses, and their donkeys, the whole camp just as it was, and fleeing for their lives. After the lepers reached the edge of the camp, they went first into one tent, ate and drank, and took silver, gold, and clothing from it, and went out and hid them. Back then came another again and to another tent, took things from it, and again went out and hid them. Then they said to one another, "We are not doing right. This is a day of good news, and we are keeping silent. If we wait until morning breaks, we will be blamed. So come, let us go and inform the palace." They came and summoned the city gatekeepers. They said, "We want the camp of the Arameans," but no one was there. Not a human voice, only the horses and donkeys, tethered, and the tents just as they were left. The gatekeepers announced this, and it was reported within the palace. Though it was night, the king got up, and he said to his servants, "Let me tell you what the Arameans have done to us. Knowing that we are starving, they have left their camp to hide in the field. They are thinking, 'The Israelites will leave the city, and we will take them alive and enter it.'" One of his servants, however, suggested, "Let some of us take 5 of the horses remaining in the city. They are just like the whole throng of Israel has reached its limits, and let us send scouts to investigate." They took 2 chariots and horses, and the king sent them to reconnoiter the Aramean army with the order, "Go and find out." They followed the Arameans as far as the Jordan, and the whole route was strewn with garments and other objects that the Arameans had thrown away in their haste. The messengers returned and told the king. The people went out and plundered the camp of the Arameans. Then a seah of fine flour sold for a shekel, and 2 seahs of barley for a shekel, according to the word of the Father Most High I am. The king had put in charge of the gate the officer upon whose arm he leaned, but the people trampled him to death at the gate, just as the man of the father had predicted when the messenger came down to him. This was in accordance with the word the man of the father spoke to the king. 2 seahs of barley will sell for a shekel, and a seah of fine flour for a shekel at this time tomorrow in the market of Samaria. The adjutant had answered the man of the father, even if the Father were to make windows in heaven, how could this happen? And Elisha had replied, you shall see it with your own eyes, but you shall not eat of it. And that is what happened to him, for the people trampled him to death at the gate. Chapter 8. The Shunammite returned. Elisha once said to the woman whose son had been restored to life, get ready, leave with your household and live wherever you can, because the Father has decreed a 7-year famine which is coming upon the land. The woman got ready and did as the man of the Father said, setting out with her household and living in the land of the Philistines for 7 years. At the end of the 7 years, the woman returned from the land of the Philistines and went out to the king to appeal for a house in her field. The king was talking with Gehazi, the servant of the man of the Most High Father. Tell me all the great things that Elisha has done. Just as he was telling the king how his master had restored a dead person to life, the very woman whose son Elisha had restored to life came to the king appealing for a house and field. Gehazi said, my lord, king, this is the woman, and this is that son of hers whom Elisha restored to life. The king questioned the woman, and she told her story. With that, the king placed an official at her disposal, saying, restore all her property to her, with all the field that produced from that day she left the land until now. Elijah and Hazael of Aram. Elisha came to Damascus at the time when Ben-Hadad, king of Aram, lay sick. When he was told, the man of the Father Most High has come here, the king said to Hazael, take a gift with you and go call on the man of the Father. Consult the Father through him. Will I recover from this sickness? Hazael went to visit him, carrying a present and with 40 camel loads of the best goods of Damascus. On his arrival, he stood before Elisha and said, your son Ben-Hadad, king of Aram, has sent me to you to ask, will I recover from my sickness? Elisha answered, go and tell him, you will surely recover, but the Father has showed me that he will surely die. Then he stared him down until he became ill at ease. The man of the Father wept, and Hazael asked, why are you weeping, my lord? Elisha replied, because I know that the evil that you will inflict upon the Israelites, you will burn their fortresses, you will slay their youth with the sword, you will dash their little children to pieces, you will rip open their pregnant women. Hazael exclaimed, how can your servant, a dog like me, do anything so important? Elisha replied, the Father has showed me to you. Father has showed you to me as king over Aram. Hazael left Elisha and returned to his master, who asked, what did Elisha tell you? Hazael replied, he said you will surely recover. The next day, however, Hazael took a cloth, dipped it in water, and spread it over the king's face so that he died. And Hazael succeeded him as king. Reign of Joram of Judah. In the 5th year of Joram, son of Ahab, king of Israel, Joram, son of Jehoshaphat, king of Judah, became king. He was 32 years old when he became king, and he reigned 8 years in Jerusalem. He walked in the way of the kings of Israel, as the house of Ahab had done, since the daughter of Ahab was his wife, and he did what was evil in the father's sight. Even so, the father was unwilling to destroy Judah for the sake of his servant David, for he had promised David that he would leave him a holding in the father's presence for all time. During Joram's reign, Edom revolted against the rule of Judah and installed a king of its own. Thereupon Joram, with all its chariots, crossed over to Zaire. He rose by night and broke through the Edomites when they had surrounded him and commanders of his chariots. Then his army fled homeward. To this day, Edom has been in revolt against the rule of Judah. Libnah also revolted at that time. The rest of the acts of Joram with all that he did are recorded in the book of the Chronicles of the Kings of Judah. Joram rested with his ancestors. He was buried with his ancestors in the city of David, and his son Ahaziah succeeded him as king. Reign of Ahaziah of Judah. In the 12th year of Joram, son of Ahab, king of Israel, Ahaziah, son of Joram, king of Judah, became king. Ahaziah was 22 years old when he became king, and he reigned over 1 year in Jerusalem. His mother's name was Athaliah, daughter of Omri, king of Israel. He walked in the way of the house of Ahab and did what was evil in the father's sight, like the house of Ahab, since he was related to them by marriage. He joined Joram, son of Ahab, in battle against Hazael, king of Aram, at Ramoth Gilead, where and Joram wounded. Joram, king of Joram, returned to Jezreel to be healed of the wounds which the Arameans had inflicted on him at Ramah in his battle against Hazael, king of Aram. Then Ahaziah, son of Joram, king of Judah, went down to Jezreel to visit Joram, son of Aham, where he was sick.